We're not in a quorum call.
All right.
The senator is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the first words of the Constitution, the weight that lies on every American's shoulders has been clear. We, the people, are the ones who dreamed up this wild experiment that we call America, and we, the people, are the ones charged with ensuring its survival. That's the tension, the push and the pull behind our democracy. Because while there's no greater privilege than living in a country whose Constitution guarantees our rights, there's no greater burden than knowing that our actions could sap that very same Constitution of its power, that our inaction risks allowing it to wither like any other piece of parchment from some bygone era. For the past few weeks, it's been my sworn duty as a United States Senator to sit as an impartial juror in the impeachment trial of Donald J. Trump. And while I wish the president hadn't put our nation in this position, after listening closely, with an open mind, to both sides, it is now my duty as an American to vote on whether to remove him from office. Other than sending our troops into harm's way, I cannot think of a more serious, more somber vote to take in this chamber. But as sobering as it is, the right path forward is clear. Throughout this trial, we've seen unprecedented obstruction from the Trump administration. Obstruction so flagrant it makes Nixon, in the thick of Watergate, look like the motto of transparency. And yet the facts uncovered still prove the truth of the matter. Trump abused his power when he secretly withheld security aid at a White House meeting to try to force Ukraine to announce its investigations into a political rival to help him swing November's election, putting his political self-interest ahead of our national security. He smeared the name of an American ambassador, even seemingly risking her safety because she was simply too principled to further his corruption, because she was too clean to help him strong-arm Ukraine into that favor he demanded. When the reports first emerged about what he'd done, he denied it. Then his explanation changed to, well, maybe I did do it, but it was only because I was trying to root out corruption. Except that if that were true, there'd be some documentary record to prove that, and we've seen absolutely none, even after I asked for it during the questioning period. And now, his defense team has gone so far as to claim that, well, it doesn't matter if he did do it because he's the president and the president can do anything he wants. It will help him get re-elected. Breathtaking. To put it another way, when he got caught, he lied. Then when that lie was found out, he lied again, then again, then again. And along the way, his own defense counsel could not papier-mâché together even the most basic argument to actually exonerate him. The best case they could muster boiled down to, well, when the president does it, it's not illegal. Nixon already tried that defense. It did not work then, and it does not work now. Because here's the thing, in America, we believe not in rulers, but in the rule of law. And though we've seen over the past few months, the truth has never changed. It's what National Security Council officials and decades-long diplomats testified to under oath. It's what foreign policy experts and Trump administration staffers, and yes, an American warrior with a Purple Heart, have raised their right hands and told us time after time since the House hearings began. Even some of my Republican colleagues have admitted that Trump crossed the line. Some said it as recently as this weekend, but many more said months ago that if Trump did do what he's accused of, then it would indeed be wrong. Well, now it's obvious that those allegations were true. And it's pretty clear Trump's defense team knows that also. Because if they actually believe Trump did nothing wrong, that his call was perfect, then why would they fight so hard to block the witnesses and the documents that could exonerate him from coming to light? The only reason they would have done so is if they knew that he was guilty. And today, the only reason for anyone to vote to acquit Trump is if you're okay with him trying to cover it up. Now, I know that some folks have been saying that we should acquit him, that we should ignore our constitutional duty and leave him in office because we are in an election year, and that the voters should decide his fate. That's an argument that rings hollow, because this trial was about Trump trying to cheat in the next election and rob the voters of their ability to decide. So any action other than voting to remove him would give him the license and the power to keep tampering with that race, to to keep trying to turn that election into as much of a sham as an impeachment trial without witnesses. You know, I spent 23 years in the military, and one of the most critical lessons anyone who serves learns is the damage that can be done when troops don't oppose illegal orders, when fealty becomes blind and ignorance becomes intentional. And just as it's the duty of military officers to oppose unlawful orders, it is the responsibility of public servants to hold those in power accountable. Former National Security, the former NSC official Fiona Hill understood that, testifying before Congress because she knew that politics must never eclipse national security. Ambassador Bill Taylor understood that as well. The veteran who served in every administration since Reagan's answered the question at the heart of the impeachment inquiry, saying under oath that, yes, there was a clear understanding of a quid pro quo, exactly the sort of abuse of power no president should be allowed to get away with. And Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, the Purple Heart recipient who dedicated decades of his life to our armed forces, he understood the lessons of the past too, saying that here in America, right matters. My colleagues in this chamber who have attacked Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, who have provided a platform for others to tear him down, just doing what he believes is right, should be ashamed of themselves. We should all be aware of the example we set and always seek to elevate the national discourse. We should all be thoughtful about our own conduct, both in terms of respecting the rule of law and the sacrifices our troops make to keep us safe. Because at the end of the day, our Constitution is really just a set of rules on some pieces of paper. It is only as strong as our will to uphold its ideals and hold up the scales of justice. So today, I am asking each of us to muster up just an ounce of the courage shown by Fiona Hill, Ambassador Taylor, and Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. When our names are called from the dais in a few hours, each of us will either pass or fail the most elementary, yet most important test any elected official will ever take, whether to put country over party or party over country. It may be a politically difficult vote for some of us, but it should not be a morally difficult vote for any of us. Because while I know that voting to acquit would make the lives of some of my colleagues simpler come election day, I also know that America would have never been born if the heroes of centuries past made decisions based on political expediency. It would have been easier to keep bowing down to King George III than to push 342 chests of tea into the Boston Harbor. It would have been easier to keep paying taxes to the crown than to wage a revolution. But those patriots knew the importance of rejecting what's easy if it's in conflict with what is right. They knew that the courage of just a few could change history. So when it's time to vote this afternoon, we cannot think of political convenience. If we say abuse of power doesn't warrant removal from office today, we'd be paving the way for future presidents to do even worse tomorrow, to keep breaking the law, to keep endangering our country, one perfect call, one favor, one high crime and misdemeanor at a time. Time and again these past few months, we've heard one story about our founders, perhaps more than any other. The time that Benjamin Franklin walked out of the Independence Hall after the Constitution Convention and someone asked, "What have we got, a republic or a monarchy?" We all know what he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." Keeping it may very well come down to the 100 of us in this very chamber. We are the ones the Constitution vests with the power to hold the president accountable, and so, through our actions, we are the ones that vest the Constitution with its power. So in this moment, let's think not just of today, but of tomorrow too. And in this moment, let's remember that here, right matters, truth matters. The truth is that Donald Trump is guilty of these articles of impeachment. I will vote to do the right thing, and I hope my colleagues will as well. For the sake of tomorrow and the tomorrow after that, we must. I yield the floor and suggest the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.